Nintex Workflow Cloud provides you with different connectors that allow you to kick off a workflow when something happens in a line of business system. For our scenario, we're going to focus on Salesforce. So clicking on the start event, we provide you with a pop-up screen where you can select one of the many connectors we provide. In our case, we're going to select Salesforce, followed by selecting the event that you want to trigger that workflow from. The Salesforce world, there's three options. You can select start a workflow when a new record is created, when a record is being updated, or use an Nintex form within the Salesforce context to pull information straight from the Salesforce environment into your workflow. For our scenario, we're going to go with a new record because what we want to do is create a workflow that triggers when a new case has been created. And more importantly, actually only trigger that workflow when the case priority equals high. So now by selecting the event, it actually now started to pull back the different connections that I might already have in my workflow environment here. If this is empty or if you're not sure if that's the right connection, you can always go into the drop-down, select a different one, or even add a new connection. I'm going to stick with my default connection, which also already caused the Nintex Workflow Cloud to reach out to Salesforce and get all the different objects that are available. So if you open up this drop-down, you will find a whole bunch of objects that are in your Salesforce environment. Now, given this is a fairly huge amount, I'm going to use the type ahead function and pull back the case object from Salesforce. Now, when a workflow starts off, we are able to actually pass on start event variables. Start event variables essentially match the object within Salesforce, more specifically the fields within the object. So for our scenario, I immediately want to tell the workflow what the case ID is, what the case number is, and also what the company that's involved is. Don't worry if you get anything wrong here. You can always go back in, change that list, add more to it, remove stuff, and more importantly, as you go through the process, you will be able to obviously use workflow actions for Salesforce to pull more information from your Salesforce environment. Now, at the moment, we have said, let's start a workflow when there's a new record in Salesforce up here. We specified the connection. We've given it the object name. We told the workflow what kind of information we need as a start event variable. Now remember, we said we only want to kick off this workflow when the priority actually equals high on that case. So for the last bit, let's scroll down to the conditional startup options and add a condition. And similar to start event variables, you get immediate access to all the different fields within your Salesforce object. Let's go and search for priority, again using the type ahead function, and say equals high, and add that as a start up option. This was the last step to configure within the start event screen. When you're done, simply hit close. And we've now told the workflow to only start on a case that's high priority coming from a Salesforce environment.